I'm going to have you introduce yourself. So say your name, what you do, and who you are.
Hello, my name is Viviana Menendez. I am a certified body sculptor and master certified sound healer.
So what's one thing your inner child loved that you've intentionally brought back into your adult life?
Oh man, so that is a wonderful question because I literally just posted something on my social media platform recently. And this was an opportunity that just organically happened where I was sitting with my sister-in-law. We had put together all of our VHS tapes from our past, from our childhood, from all of that. And all of my dancing videos came up. So little Vivi used to be obsessed with dancing, ballet, tap, jazz, musical theater, performing on stage. And it was a very serendipitous moment because in a synchronized way, I just recently had the opportunity of working with non-for-profit and working a few runway shows and almost in a sense being put back on stage and being able to sit down and look at little Vivi performing on stage and seeing it from a perception that I never have because I never sat in the audience and really watched myself performing and being able to see it from that. But from my perspective, it was always on the stage with the lights on, and I wouldn't see the audience. It would just be me and my energy and just expressing myself. That was my favorite thing to do. And it planted a seed in me where even now, so I'm actively working on reintroducing dance and being on stage and being in front of an audience, whether it's dancing, whether it's speaking, whether it's performing a sound bath ceremony, things of that nature. So I would say just dancing and being in front of an audience has kind of made a full circle moment for me.
That's really awesome that you say that because I had a friend that reached out to me a couple of years ago when I lived in California, and he's like, I still have the VHS tape when you were performing. I think this was when Lion King had first came out.
Oh yeah, I love Lion King.
Bro, what? I'm like, please, let's try to convert that as much as you can. But I always think about those moments, especially because that was when I really started to come out and be who I am right now. I love to sing. I love to dance. And then my little brother, I share this moment all the time. My little brother, we was doing rehearsal. And I was on stage. His biggest thing was, you always singing in the house. I want you to shut up. And to get you to shut up, I'm going to get better than you. And I'm like, what? So we're at rehearsal, singing in the back. I'm singing in the front. And they hear this voice in the background. And they're like, who's that singing? They go find him. And he's singing in the back. And they're like, oh my God, your voice is so cool. Let's get you up here and sing with your sister. I'm like, what?
Okay, instant manifestation there.
Literally. So it was so cool, though, because I always remember the performance. We did so good. And so we practiced a lot with that song. I believe it was a song called Somebody Cares. It was really good. He did good. We did good together. But that was his biggest thing. He was like, you sing every day, and I want you to just shut up so I'm going to sing better than you.
Yeah.
He can't sing better than me.
Right. Let's
never got there, but he was so determined. It was so cute because it was like that's a moment where I got to share with my brother and where I really started to become who I am, and start to live like my life as a singer because I sing every single day. I cannot think of a moment where I have not
you're not singing.
Literally.
Have you seen the VHS? Did you guys digitize?
I got to reach back out to him.
Let me tell you, just to touch on. Because I'm sure you've practiced guided meditations and things like that. And, I don't know if you've ever done one where you go to visit your childhood self.
No.
And it is powerful.
It sounds scary.
So it's powerful, but it's so healing because once you recognize that there is that, when I say little Vivi, because I'm not the little Vivi anymore. There have been so many instances where I've just evolved and changed and reprogrammed myself, right? But to have that moment when you are watching your younger self, and especially in a performance place, and knowing how much low self-esteem I had while I was performing, and feeling like I wasn't good enough or, not pretty enough. And, noticing in those videos, a lot of times I was kind of in the back corner, but you could not match my energy. You couldn't match my performance. You couldn't match my excitement of being on that stage and being where I'm at now and being able to visualize that younger version of me just being authentically just beautiful and expressive and performing. And it was just, man, if I could have just seen myself at that moment the way I'm seeing her now. And now at that moment of how we just talked about where we're, it's not a reinvention, right? It's an unfolding of who we are and just being able to express that. So I really want to hear when you get to digitize your performance and watching it, how much emotionally you take away from it, because it's a beautiful experience.
What's the most common reaction you see when someone experiences sound healing for the first time?
So just recently, the first thought that pops in my head is recently I had done a sound bath at the Look Loft over here in Elgin. And it was 2 first timers. I love working with first timers because you can't compare that, oh my gosh, like that aha moment that first timers experience in a sound bath. And what I love to preach about how much our body is in tune, right? How much our body can respond to frequencies, but how much our body communicates. So whether it's a sound bath or I'm doing an individual sound healing session, I will have a moment of a consultative, just certain things to expect that you can experience. And the spectrum is full. I've had clients have visualizations, whether it's colors like orbs, blues or pinks or greens. I've had people see full-blown animals like butterflies or horses or snakes. And I've had clients have physical responses, whether it's, heaviness in the chest or they're feeling pressure in their throat, may even resurface a headache. So the thing that I want to highlight with physical responses is that your body is communicating where that congestion lays. And there can be a whole other segment about, where that placement is, what chakra that's attached to, and how we can essentially follow the breadcrumbs on what your body is telling you it's ready to release. There are emotional responses, so you could just have the waterworks happening and not even feel sad, but you're tearing up and there's these tears being released, and that is just a testament to our body is a vessel. Our body is a vessel. It harnesses energy, it harnesses emotions, it has memory. So something like an emotional release could be a memory that it just held onto that it was ready to let go of. And that's what I love explaining what a sound healing session is it completely takes the thinking, the planning, the scheduling out of the equation. You're laying down and your body gets a chance to talk. Your body gets a chance to communicate to you what it needs, what it's ready to release, what it wants to leave open for bigger and better things to come in.
And you spoke about chakras. Can we get into that part?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about chakras. If I was a first-time person hearing about chakras, and then also explain the biggest misconception about chakras as well.
Yeah, so chakras in a nutshell, and do your own research too. You may get conflicting opinions about what chakras are. I work on the core 7. So you have your root, which lays at the base of the spine, sacral, which is about 2 inches below the belly button, solar plexus, which is actually in the same area as your vagus nerve, which is your rest and relax button, I like to call it. And then we have our heart chakra, we have throat, we have third eye, and we have crown. And crown is the connection to your divine. So when I had mentioned earlier about having, physical responses. So I'll use the example of the one lady that came in and I was testing out the sound bowls for my sound bath session. And the second I hit the root chakra bowl, her response was, oh, I felt something in my throat. So then I had asked her, well, Is there something in your life currently where you feel like you're biting your tongue or you're holding back or you're not speaking your truth in something? And right away she said, oh yeah, definitely. And that is associated with your throat chakra, with speaking your truth. I do believe that more common so in women, and that this is going to be another opportunity to just touch on when you have congested energy for a prolonged period of time, they can ferment and develop into chronic illnesses. Mm-hmm. So, if you have something like a thyroid condition, that can be a prolonged energetic fermentation of something correlated possibly with not speaking your truth or constantly biting your tongue. So energetically, everything in the smallest living existence is vibration and frequency, all the way down to your organ systems, your organs, your tissues, all the way down to the cellular level, to the anatomic level. Everything runs on frequencies. So the beautiful part about what I've discovered with frequency healing is that you can target specific pathogens to be able to clear those out without disrupting your cells, your tissues, your organs, things like that. There's actually a lot of research out there where practitioners have worked on cancer patients and healed them through frequency healing. And it targeted that specific pathogen, but didn't have any other residual damage with any of the organs, tissues, or organ systems. So I do believe frequency healing in itself is the future. It's actually a history, but we're starting to remember the power of frequency healing and vibrations and starting to integrate that back into a healing practice. So, but yeah, in a nutshell, I do work with the 7 chakras, the 7 energy centers, and I will utilize that during a sound healing session depending on what color you see. So chakras are also associated with colors. There's even foods that you can eat to feed that chakra and energy center. There's crystals that you can use to help open up that energy center. And so depending on how your body responds, root chakra is a very common one that a lot of people deal with. Root is your sense of safety, security, and stability. And I have not met one person that isn't battling some form of safety, stability, and security, whether it's your workplace, your home, society. Watching the news is horrible for your root chakra. So being able to integrate beautiful practices like sound healing, meditation, grounding yourself, even closing your eyes and envisioning that chakra color in that body part that you're focusing on can already connect with your body to be able to start opening up that energy center and creating that beautiful flow of energy. Because essentially an energetic alignment is that. It's breaking up that congestion and creating a beautiful flow up and down throughout the body so that there is no blockages and there is no congestion.
Why do you feel like there's so much pushback from crystals and understanding chakras and things like that in the religious community?
Personal opinion is I just feel like a lot of us have been programmed to demonize these things for some reason. The more that I'm practicing and learning about my craft and what I do, I mean, crystals are mentioned in the Bible. I'm a firm believer of God creates no mistakes. So there's no mistakes in the body, and there's no mistakes with the organic things that are on this planet to help heal us. So you can't deny the frequency shifts that I've experienced in sound healing and that I've witnessed, but also within the crystal energy. And to be honest, there are hundreds of modalities of healing. My jam is just sound healing and crystals and energy and frequency work. But there is an abundant amount of pathways that anybody can take to follow along their journey to healing. I always say there's no blueprint to healing, just your blueprint. So being able to just intuitively check in with yourself. I feel like, again, personal opinion, Maybe there are organizations or places that don't want you to believe how powerful you are and how much of an advocate you can be for your healing. There's so many things out there built to distract us and keep us busy and keep us away from being able to pause, ground, and give our body that chance to communicate what it needs, because your body is telling you, whether you're asking or not, your body is talking to you and telling you what it needs. We just need to learn to educate ourselves on that awareness and the appropriate tools that we need to know on how to move forward with that and being able to help our body do what it's already doing for us.
You're an author.
I am, yeah.
Tell us what type of book you have, or books in the future that you want to have.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you have and why you chose to do that type of book. And
So,
I love your book, by the way.
Yay, thank you. I was going to ask you about your feedback after this.
It's really good. I've been coloring my ass off.
Yay, I love it. I love that so much. So yeah, the entire vision, and it was a vision. It was a full-blown vision that came to me in the middle of my salt bath. And I remember it was like during a meditative state, and I could see it, I could visualize it. And my book not only is a vision, but it's a compilation of just everything I've learned. And I love what I do. I love the sound healing sessions that I do and being able to practice and, further educate and evolve in that. You're always thinking of the next step and how can I expand this? How can I grow from this? And, when you come to me for a sound healing session, it is for that session, and then you go home. So it's no different from the body work, that we do. When we see a client and we do a session, we will educate you on the things that you can do at home to help with that, because this is a teamwork thing. You're not going to come with me and I'm going to all of a sudden solve all your problems and then, all's right in the world. This is a process. This is a journey. So with sound healing, with frequency healing, with all of the things that I've learned and kind of put together in my own little custom program, I wanted to be able to create into almost a guide. Go home with this and then just follow the steps, because I can tell you to go home and journal. And so many times they go home, they sit down with that piece of paper and they're like, well, what am I supposed to journal? What am I supposed to write? What am I supposed to talk about? So the book is the Attracting Wealth and Abundance 21 phase transformational journey through color and frequency. So it's a step-by-step. And I transitioned it into, I was excited about the 21-day program, but I definitely wanted this to be self-paced. So it's a 21 phase because I want you to take your time with this. This isn't something like I'm going to rush through and get done with the book and, again, all's right in the world. Mm-hmm. No, everything is all about process and pacing and taking that time that you need. So, each phase, it works its way up from the 7 chakras. So you go from your root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. There's 3 different affirmations for each chakra. So after you write that affirmation down 3 times, there's a journal prompt that will help you channel the frequency of gratitude. So not a lot of people know this, but there's emotions, and emotions emit their own frequencies. Mm-hmm. So you have, happiness, even being neutral emits a frequency. And then you have your low vibrating frequencies like anger, shame, and guilt. So the intention of being in gratitude is to be able to channel that high vibrating emotion and to also ask certain questions to reflect on, internal thought processes. If I'm trying to attract wealth and abundance, whatever that looks like for you, am I in the right mindset? Am I open to receiving? Am I being a magnet for the things I'm trying to attract? Am I surrounded by the right people? Are the people around me sabotaging what I'm trying to attract? What is my environment? What is my daily routine to help me become that person that I visualize my future self to be? So after you write down those 3 affirmations, you fill out that journal prompt and then you color. So coloring to me, when we talk about our sacral chakra, that is our energy center for creativity, for passion, right? So when I think of the different emotional vibrations of frequency, the highest level of frequency is authenticity. So, personal opinion, I don't think you're more authentic than when you're being a creative, because that's all organically from you. So, I wanted to give you an opportunity to be a creative, to play around with colors, and to be artistic for that time that you're setting aside for yourself. So, I was very intentional with this book. It took about a year to put together, to get everything organized. I hired a local artist from Chicago, Brazil Oswald. In the land of AI, which I do use AI in business and things like that, so I'm not knocking AI, but I just absolutely love supporting women, supporting local artists. Just to be able to have that influence and that energy and love that was put into that book and that project. So yeah, I'm so proud of it. The launch date is January 28th. So there's going to be a beautiful panel, and you're going to be on the panel as well. So I was so excited. You have no idea how excited I am for this. So yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this moment, because this is, January 28th, 2026. We're going to start off with a bang.
Exactly.
And so the launch event will be at the bodega in the West Loop. And we're going to have a panel of gorgeous female authors. And, our mediator, Paloma Greer, who's also a female author. So she's going to be, asking questions just about, and this is going to be motivating people to write their story, motivating people to express themselves. Let's open up that throat chakra and not repress anymore, and tell our stories. I feel like there's so many stories that are just untold because we don't feel like people want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
If your book could speak directly to someone's inner child, what would it say first?
You got this. You got this.
What's a childhood memory that still makes your body smile?
Oh my gosh. I have to circle back to, watching those tapes and videos of me performing on stage. It really does feel like a full circle moment for me now. I wasn't more in my sacral energy than I was when I was performing on stage. And there really hasn't been any other platform or space where I just felt more free.
How do you know when you're responding from your healed self versus your wounded inner child?
Well, we have conversations. My inner child, and I'm sure some people can relate to this, because it's like, do I respond the way I want to respond, or do I respond the way I should be responding? I feel like the more that you are peeling back the onion layers of healing, the more separated I feel like things are sometimes. I feel like we are our own entourage, in a sense, where it's, I have my little Vivi here having her opinions, and then I have my higher self having her opinions. I have my present self having those opinions, and having a full-blown conversation around it, because I do feel like all of those perceptions are justified, right? So, maybe I listen to that inner child part of me, or maybe I listen to that higher self part of me. And sometimes we're not all in agreement, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's polarity there, but I do love the dissection of that, and being able to hold that mirror up of, responding a certain way, but what else do I need to add on to my internal work? And how can we all see things from that same perception, or at least be on the same page, depending on whatever that scenario is, when she's being triggered, or, the present self is being triggered, and being able to follow those breadcrumbs of, what needs attention.
I love that too. Mm-hmm. Got some good answers, girl.
I got a lot to say.
So let's talk about body sculpting, because I talk about this a lot, where I tell people when I really started my healing journey, I started to do yoga. I studied yoga. I went to the library. I'm grabbing every book on yoga that stood out to me. And so that's where I learned that yoga is not just about movement of the body real slow or just being still. I understood what meditation was through yoga. I understood that there's workout yoga, there's hot yoga, there's tantric yoga, and so much. And so, like, I started putting all of those things together. And I was already getting a lot of criticism because I've always had like a curvy body for a very long time. But people were looking at it like, oh, you're being raunchy. You just want people to look at you and things like that. And it's like, no, I feel like I'm releasing a lot of baggage that I started to bring onto my body. The foods that I was eating wasn't healthy. I was just eating it and was introduced to it because this is what family and friends said was good, or this is what I was fed. Those types of things. But when I started to scope my body, I'm like, let me look at myself and say, what do I want for me? I can go and get it fixed. I don't knock anybody that does and go and get anything fixed or added or whatever. But everyone has something to say. But I look at it like, what is it that you want? How do you want to look? Look at yourself in the mirror and sculpt it. And that's what I did. I put my shape in the shape that it is today, and I'm still working on it. So, like, as far as body sculpting, what made you get into it? And how is that a form of self-love rather than self-criticism?
This is good because with you sharing how you got introduced to yoga, I actually learned that from when I read your book. And that was one of the I already felt a pull and a magnetism between us. But as I was reading your book, it was like there was a parallel universe and we were both living and going and healing simultaneously through similar paths. So when the pandemic happened, when shutdown happened, I had to live alone with my 2 dogs. So there was no company from anyone but my own. So in isolation, which I called my cocoon phase. So I had recognized that, I was drawn to yoga. So I signed up for yoga philosophy, fell in love with yoga philosophy. Initially went into it because I just needed something to do and I wanted to move my body. I had this intuitive urge to move my body, right? And again, that's where I circle back with our body will tell us what it needs and it'll communicate with us, even if we don't realize it at that moment in time. There was another moment where I recognized that I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I was actually very uncomfortable to look at myself in the mirror. And it was a shock when that happened to me. It was, I can't remember if it was a podcast or probably through the yoga curriculum where you practice self-love and you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And again, I couldn't even look at myself. So how can I tell myself I love you if I couldn't even face it? It wasn't looking, it was facing myself. And I went through guided meditations to be able to work the courage to be able to face myself. And one of the most profound meditations that I've ever done, and it wasn't guided. It was just, I was playing frequencies in the background, closed my eyes, did my breath work, and all of a sudden I was in this botanical garden and heading towards this water fountain. And I'm sitting on the edge of this water fountain and the water is rippling. So I'm able to look at my reflection through the rippling water because I don't have to directly see myself. So this was like a desensitization moment. And then as the water clears, I see myself. And then as I see myself, the only words I can say was, I forgive you. I forgive you. And in my meditative state, just the biggest emotional release that my body had ever experienced. And, there's things to say about forgiving others. That was the first time I realized I needed to forgive myself and start rebuilding the trust within myself. Because yes, people betrayed me, people lied, people cheated, people hurt me. I was that individual that just kept going back. When we are practicing something like yoga and stretching and releasing and opening, those energies that have been hiding in these little areas in our body are no longer being held in. It's being opened and released. And I mean, it was hysterical. I did my hot yoga class. I intuitively wanted hibiscus tea, which we could have a whole conversation about the healing benefits of hibiscus. At that time, Starbucks did have a hibiscus refresher, so I was able to pick that up on the way and got into my apartment. And I was talking to a guy at the time, and at that time I was newly single. I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, just very verbally belittling and things like that. So being on this healing journey myself, I was very sensitive to conversations with men, to even just the thought of dating and courting anything was just, I got some healing to do. You're not ready for this. Like this is messy. And I remember it vividly. I'm on the phone and it's like, well, why are you shutting me out? Why aren't you letting me in? Why? And then it came out like word vomit. And it was like, because when I was a little girl, my parents got divorced and I was left with no just love and support. And I just had to survive through it. I had to, I got kicked out when I was 17 and with nothing but a suitcase. I've actually been kicked out a few times. I've been told, get out. This isn't working. Get out. This isn't working. Get out. And again, all of that circles back to your upbringing, your childhood. And, I've gone through the healing process of forgiving my parents. I understand that they were humans and they did that the best that they could. I still had to heal from that. So being able to understand that I had to tolerate so much at such a young age gave me that pre-programmed notion of like, this is just what I do. So I just tolerate and I adapt. And I got to a certain point where I'm like, I am sick and tired of freaking adapting. And I'm ready to just live and be and not have to, there was another realization that I had of, from being an empath. And I always just thought, maybe I was born with it. Maybe, we are just born with these abilities and these skill sets. And there was something I read on, so my mother was diagnosed manic depressive bipolar at I was a young age. And being able to not know what kind of day I was having from one day to the next. Could be a good day, could be a bad day. And as a child, you can develop empathic abilities as a survival mechanism. So I would walk into a room, and I still do it to this day. You walk into a room and you feel the energy in the room. You feel the people in the energy. So, big crowds, parties, and things like that can be overwhelming for an empath because we're trying to scan for safety and security and stability and making sure we can, prepare for what we're walking into. So that realization of that literally just came up after a hot yoga class, sipping on hibiscus tea, and someone asking me why this, why that, and the answer just blurted out like word vomit. So there is something to say about the connection between energy, frequency, emotions, the physical body. The more I'm practicing on body work, lymphatic drainage, wood therapy, gua sha, scalp massages, our body physically harnesses tension and memories and things like that is connected into the body and can be released through physical healing modalities, through energetic vibrational modalities, even thought processes. And I do believe that, as I said, there is your blueprint to healing, and it's usually a combination of everything. And it's just finding what you're gravitating towards and being able to follow that intuitively guided path.
What does being fully embodied mean to you?
What does it mean? if I were to close my eyes and describe it, it would just be completely free, free flowing, free moving, automatic, and open.
I felt a sense of stillness when you were saying
Mm-hmm.
everything just was like standing still. It was so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you?
Oh, well, I mean, only, the gods and guides and cosmos know the true answer to it, but I'm just getting started. Mm-hmm. So, my book launch is coming out. I'm already having ideas and thoughts towards what that next book is going to look like. And I'm loving the feedback that I'm getting from people, because I want you to tell me what can I produce? What questions do you need answers? What would be a good guide for whatever it is that you're trying to get through? I actually am working on doing a Chakra for Kids book. I had a person reach out to me, and as she was working on hers, her daughter came up and said, "Can I color with you, mommy?" So, and that just blew me away, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I have to create one for it." So right now I'm in the process of that, but the outcome will be TBD, but that's going to be next in line for that. Right now I do body work at the Look Loft, and I do continue doing my sound healing sessions there, my sound baths, and that out of the office. And I will continue to doing that because that's part of one of my big passions. I do have my business partner, Paloma Greer. We've collectively have done International Women's Day events. We successfully did the Goddess Festival over the summer, and we already have the next International Women's Day coming up, the next Goddess Festival. We are recording our Goddess Portal podcast. So we are going to launch that in February.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And then we do want to potentially work our way up to retreats. Mm-hmm. So that, festivals are fun and they're great, and women can frolic and play and be creatives. And, but, I want to create a place and space to do a little bit more deep, intimate work with my beautiful goddesses. So
I look forward to that.
Yes, I know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
I'm so honored for this. Thank you so much for just giving me a platform to, as you can see, I love to talk, yes, and especially about frequencies and body work. And hopefully this is the first of many. It is. And again, just so honored for this time that you're giving me and this opportunity to speak my truth.
You're amazing, girl.
No, I feel the same about you. Thank you so much. Literally.
Well, that wraps us up. I appreciate your time. If you have any social media, website or anything, your Amazon, wherever people can purchase your book, you can say that now.
Yeah, so you can find my book, Attracting Wealth and Abundance, 21 Phase Transformational Journey Through Color and Frequency, on Amazon. And you can follow me on my personal handle is Viviana Isabel. We also have Goddess Fest 2025 to get the updates on all of the events. And then I do have Secret Vault of Manifestations is going to be the official publishing company for my books. So that Instagram is available as well. And you can always follow me on Facebook as well, Viviana Menendez.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.